Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. I don't know if you can hear my voice right now, but I'm like slightly, maybe a little more than slightly under the weather.
A little cough.
Yes, but you know what's gonna cheer me up tonight?
What?
Justin Fields has 4 touchdown throws.
Or 4 interceptions.
Oh my god! I hope he does good. I get to actually watch the suck live though.
Yeah, you gonna watch the game?
Yeah, of course.
This is pre-recorded, so it already happened. So
Yeah,
people know
hey.
if you had 4 touchdowns or 4 interceptions.
Yeah,
already.
so I'm, people will be like, "This guy's an idiot." Whatever, dude. But anyway, welcome into the show. We got starts and sits for this episode, and then tomorrow's episode we're going to have are the normal trade targets. Be sure to check in on that one as well. Before we jump into our starts and sits, check our website, fantasyjimmies.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Click the bell for notifications and leave some start-sit questions below because I know you guys have them. As always, Rick is going to give his starts. I'm going to give my starts. Rick's going to give his sits, and I'm going to give my sits, and we'll send you on your merry way. This should be a quick and dirty show. Rick, how you doing with this week? How you feeling about your teams through 4?
Pretty good, except my home league. That's the one around.
I don't understand you, dude.
I'm feeling great. You know, I have some good players. Devin A-Chain, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. It's a pretty good running back group. I said Mark Andrews for tight end. Kirk Cousins been a top 7 quarterback so far. I have some pieces. The receivers, man, tough to put it together.
Yeah, I am. Let's see. So far, 3-1 home league. Mike McDaniel's dad is 3-1. It's another dynasty league. I have 4 dynasty leagues. 4 dynasty leagues. So I'm 3-1, 2-2, 1-3, 1-3. I'm tanking in one of these leagues. I don't know which one it is.
I'm 4-0 in one dynasty league, 2-2, 3-1, 4-0, 3-1, and then 2-2. That's just on sleeper though. I have another dynasty league, but I'm tanking that one, so it doesn't count. I think I'm 1-3 though, so it's not even a good tank.
I don't know what league I'm tanking in, but it don't look good, dude.
That's not a good thing. You don't know the league that you're tanking.
I can't remember. I hope it's not the one I'm 3-1 in.
Wasn't it? I think the Champs League.
Is it the one?
It's I think
I got Debo and CD in that league, and Sky Moore. Anyway,
yeah, you said you were tanking. I know one league you said you were going to tank in a dynasty league, and then you traded like a draft pick to get a player, and I was like, what is he?
Well, hey, I can build my team any way I want, all right?
Yeah, no. You can do what you want, boss.
But anyway, yeah, so send us your start and sit questions in the comments. We are going to talk about our starts and sits, and we'll start with the quarterback position as we always do, and I'll give you mine. Start of the week is Jordan Love versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Jordan Love has actually been kind of like a small fantasy surprise on the season through, I think it's 4 weeks now. He is currently, I just want to make sure I got this correct. Jordan Love is QB3 through 4 weeks. Ooh. He's had 23, 20, 25, and 19 so far in the season. So if you picked him up and you didn't have a quarterback, you've probably just been starting him anyway. But he is playing the Raiders, who are poop nuggets. They are very not good at stopping anything particular. They've given up 20 fantasy points a game to the quarterback position. So this game, I don't know when the game's actually at, but this game should be
Monday Night Football.
Is it Monday Night Football?
I believe so.
This should be a easier matchup for Jordan Love to have success in. I would say is probably going to be anywhere between 18 and 22 fantasy points. And if you're looking for a streaming option or you're not really sure about your quarterback start this week, I would put Jordan Love in your lineup and ride it.
Yeah, that's a good one. It probably would have been my top choice. My start of the week is someone that has disappointed us all and is pretty risky play. and I've been very bullish on this
You didn't
guy.
do it. You didn't put him on this list.
But my start of the week
You
at
actually
quarterback
did.
is
You
Joe
did.
Burrow.
Joe Bustro.
Yep. And this is kind of the last week, right? This is like
Yeah.
he's playing the Cardinals. So it should be his easiest matchup of the season. He's now 4 weeks removed from re-injuring his calf. So in theory, he should be at this point healthy enough
You would
to
imagine.
produce against the Cardinals. He should. If he doesn't play well against the Cardinals and puts up another absolute stinker, then he might be droppable. Like he might be, and not only might be droppable in fantasy, but like in the NFL, they're gonna have to seriously consider shutting him down. If he's not good enough to handle the Arizona Cardinals and looks like he's still a mess with the calf and everything, like
Yeah.
there's no point of him being out there. So this is it. This is the last week, and I'm willing to trust it. It is a really good matchup. Burrow said that this feels like a must-win game this week, which is rare for week 5, especially for a team like the Bengals. So I would expect them to bring a lot of juice, but we'll see, man. I could be wrong on this one. And if I am, I'm very out on Burrow.
Yeah, they got to get a win. I agree. Must-win game for them because things can start going negative real fast. If they have to shut them down, it's another playoff spot for the Pats to have a shot here.
Back to the Pats.
Yeah, dude. But no, I don't agree. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I am playing Joe Burrow in a league this week.
I'll say this. I would rather play Jordan Love than Joe Burrow, though.
Okay, interesting. You'd start Joe if you had both guys, you start Jordan Love.
Jordan Love was my first choice, but
bro, I got that. I got that in a league.
Oh, really? You have that decision?
I didn't even think about that. I have Jordan Love and Joe Burrows on my bench right now.
I'd probably start Jordan Love.
Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one.
With Burrow has the chance to get like 5 fantasy points. I think Love's floor against the Raiders is like 12. Like he at least has a higher floor.
Yeah, that's fair. Not a bad one. All right, my sit of the week at quarterback is Brock Purdy versus Dallas. I don't know if you've been starting Brock Purdy. I know there's teams that have him on their roster, and he's been kind of a streaming option. Currently on the season through 4 weeks, he is the quarterback 11 with 73 fantasy points. So he hasn't been great, but he also hasn't been bad either. He's been a good start, especially the last 2 weeks with 20 and 21 fantasy points. Going into week 5, he's playing where is my sheet? The Dallas Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys, who are just very good at everything. They don't have Travion Diggs, but they didn't seem to have a whole ton of trouble with the Patriots last week. So I would say Dallas is a tough matchup. They only give up 10 fantasy points a game right now to the quarterback position. Even if it's more like 15 now, I still don't want to start Purdy. This is going to be an interesting matchup. But I think the Dallas defense is legit, and I wouldn't start Purdy this week if I had the opportunity. Now, if he goes off, I mean, that's total 49ers, but it is what it is. I still, knowing the situations that I know and the numbers that I know now with Brock Purdy in Dallas, like I wouldn't start him this week.
I agree. I don't think he's a great start. He could end up having a decent game, but it's not something that you want to trust.
Yep.
My set of the week is Russell Wilson, who has also been pretty good this year. I think has surprised some people. With Sean Payton, it feels like he's kind of closer to Seattle Russell Wilson than last year Russell Wilson, which is good. He's QB9 on the year, 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, very good. But he is playing the New York Jets this week, and the Jets defense is very solid. They've done a great job against quarterbacks this year. And Russ at this point is very much improved and is startable on some weeks. I don't think he's startable every single week.
New York Jets.
I think this is one of them. He had 15 against the Dolphins. He had 15 against the Raiders. Feels like another game where he gets 15 against the Jets, maybe even less.
Okay. Don't disagree. The Jets are a tough defense, my guy. They made Patrick Mahomes look like Zach Wilson.
Yeah, they've statistically been pretty good against quarterbacks this year, and they've played Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Mac Jones.
Yeah, that defense is legit. Well, Mac Jones a little bit easier, but
Mac Jones is a little easier, but the other 2 quarterbacks.
All right, let's
good.
move to the running back position. We got, for me, start this week, David Montgomery versus Carolina. It's a good matchup. So if you have Jahmyr Gibbs too, I wouldn't mind it. But
Yeah.
Montgomery, what did you just say?
I have to start Gibbs, so I'm starting Gibbs, but
Just
I don't
do
want
it. Just do it. David Montgomery on the season so far is a surprising running back 10, and he didn't even play week 3. He's at 13, 12, and 34, so he's been good. Efficiency-wise, not the best, but opportunity-wise,
goal
it's
line back.
definitely there. And what you're
I
looking
mean, he's
for,
their back in general. If it's a handoff, it's going to Montgomery.
what you're looking for at the running back position is what? Opportunity, and that's what David Montgomery has.
David opportunity.
Yeah, there you go. And so I think it's a good week to start him. I think against this Carolina front, who gives up a ton of fantasy points a game so far this year, they've given up 27.5, which is the fourth easiest matchup. You got to run him against the Carolina Panthers. And if you had any question about David Montgomery, he probably should be in your starting lineup at this point. But I'd start David Montgomery.
Yeah, that's a good one. For me, I got Breece Hall versus the Broncos. Breece has been on the snap count all season. His highest snap percentage was against the Patriots, and it was only 49%. This week, Robert Saleh said that he's not on a pitch count anymore and that he's set for a full workload. So I'm not expecting 30 touches because they still probably will get Dalvin Cook involved. But I would expect about 20 touches. And if he does that against the Broncos, I love that. The Broncos this year have been awful on defense, struggling against the run. Khalil Herbert lit him up last week, and the week before that was the 70-point game where A-Chain and Mostert each had like 50 fantasy points. So Breece Hall, I'm expecting a very good week out of him. And I think he's a must start.
Yeah, I trade for Breece before things start cooking. I still don't think the efficiency is going to be great for him this year because of the ACL injury and the bounce back. I'm more looking forward to next year because Dalvin Cook will probably be gone.
I like him more in Dynasty than I do redraft, but
I trade for him now though because if he starts building up that workload and starts because Dalvin has been bad. He's not even close.
Right.
He's cooked.
In the name.
So I would say Breece is definitely the guy moving forward, and the manager who has Breece Hall is probably like, I'm sick of this guy. So yeah, I would trade for Breece Hall, but start this week against Denver, definitely. Okay, what am I doing? Running back sit of the week for me. I got Kyren.
Whoa!
I might just sit him.
Whoa!
But I might also just start him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing: is I got Alexander Madison. You can tell me. This is my start set question for you, Rick. Alexander Madison versus Kansas City with big fat Chris Jones right in the center of things.
Yeah.
Or Kyren Williams versus Philly, who has every good defensive lineman in the NFL on their team. Can
I wait to answer your question?
Yeah, sure. So Kyren, I love him. I think he's great for fantasy. He has had some inefficiencies. He's gotten better on a week-to-week basis. So he had 3.47 week 1, 3.71 week 2, 3.8 week 4 yards per carry wise, and then this week was 4.12 on 25 carries. So they're giving him a lot of work. They give him goal line work. So there's a lot of good things here. And the problem for me is like when do we draw the line for Kyren on tough matchup? Whether he's matchup proof, and I still don't know if he's matchup proof yet. And Philadelphia on the season, obviously one of the best defensive fronts in football. They only give up 11 fantasy points a game to the running back position. So like to me, I have trouble starting him this week. I would if you have a better option, I would sit him this week. And I'm not going to definitively say like you should sit him definitely and slap like if you don't have a better option, don't sit him, but I would sit him if you have the opportunity to, because I don't think this is going to be the best week for Kyren. I've also seen it's not really an increase that's hurting Kyren Williams like opportunity share, but Ronnie Rivers has been getting more work in games. So, there could be a chance that if it's like a 75%, just if you split the fantasy points 75-25, that you're going to get a really bad game from Kyron this week and you're going to regret starting him. So I just have my reservations on Kyron Williams, but
Yeah. For me,
dang.
my set of the week at running back is Alexander Madison, the guy you just asked me about.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Playing against the Chiefs, I don't like that matchup whatsoever.
I could maybe not have conflicted myself with this.
Good against running backs. I think last week we saw it was Cam Akers' first game with the Vikings, and he was actually more efficient than Madison. He only had 7 touches to Madison's 18. So Madison is still clearly the guy in the backfield, but I think if Akers continues to play well, it's going to be more of a split. And I don't think that's going to necessarily be the case this week. But if Madison's getting under 20 touches versus the Chiefs, I don't love that. He's going to be touchdown reliant in this game. So if he gets a touchdown, he will save your week and you'll be okay. If he doesn't get a touchdown, then it's not going to look pretty. I also think the Chiefs are probably going to be winning a lot in this game.
Yeah, so it'll be passes.
So I could see them abandoning the run.
Oh, bro, freaking Vikings, man. They just can't catch a break.
Depending on, I know how the game goes, but
yeah.
We'll see how the game script ends up being, but I don't think it'll be positive for Alexander Madison.
Now, solve my mid-running back controversy.
I would start Kyron Williams.
Okay,
because I'll tell you why.
All right.
Even if Kyron Williams is against that Eagles front, as you said, which are all valid points, and if you have a better option, like you pick Kyron Williams up the waivers and you've just been starting him, but you have somebody else in place, go ahead and do that. But against the Eagles, obviously not a good matchup. But he had 28 touches last week, dude. And I know Ronnie Rivers had 8? But if you're getting 28 touches, it's hard not to start,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
agree. In comparison to Madison, I would start Kyron.
Okay, let's move on to a new position here, and that is the wide receiver position. I'll give you my start this week, which is Michael Pittman versus Tennessee. Pittman's actually been pretty good, so if you have him, you might have already been starting him. I want to pull up his numbers real fast here at the wide receiver position, see where he finishes on the season so far. Michael Pittman, wide receiver 19, so he's had 23, 13, 16, and then this week he had 4. So kind of came down to earth a little bit. Who'd they play again? They played the Rams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so Pittman going out this week against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense usually is pretty good, but this year it hasn't been really good at all. Mm-hmm. Tennessee has given up 35 fantasy points.
Except when they play the Bengals. 35 fantasy points a game to the wide receiver position. So Michael Pittman's been great as a receiver. He did have a bad week last week, but I think this week can be a good week for him. I think there'll be a lot of fantasy points scored for him in this game. And 2 teams with not great defenses, but it was a mediocre defenses are going at it. So there should be some scores in this game. But I do think that you're going to see, what's his name? Michael Pittman. There you go. My friggin' sick brain over here is thinking too hard. Michael Pittman is a good start this week against Tennessee. I agree. I think he's going to have a bounce back week. He was one of the guys I was thinking about putting on this list. I ended up going with Christian Watson.
Hey-o.
So Watson last week was his debut game. He had 46% snap percentage, was on a limited basis, and he still ended up with 10 fantasy points, had a touchdown. And now going against the Raiders, kind of playing off your Jordan Love start of the week at quarterback. I like this spot for the Packers offense, the passing offense. Outside of Max Crosby, there's really no one on that Raiders defense that scares me. It's a very good matchup for them. It's a Monday night game. With Christian Watson now back, fully healthy, I don't know if the Raiders have anyone in that secondary that can really handle Christian Watson. So I would expect Watson on a higher snap count to be more involved and could have a real breakout week.
I like it. Christian Watson. Rick, I mean, that's a fantasy analyst to take and a guy hoping that his draft pick pans out.
I am hoping, but it is a fantasy analyst take. I think he's ranked wide receiver 20 this week, 21 or something like that.
All right, let's move to the sits of the wide receiver position. I have Jerry Jeudy versus the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the quarterback. I got the wide receiver.
Yeah, the opposite of our starts.
Jerry Jeudy has been extremely disappointing this year. Yeah, he it's sparked up not just because Denver sucks, but it sparked up some trade rumors. They rejected second round picks for him, seeking a first in the offseason. So, I don't know what their plan is moving forward with Jerry Jeudy, but they are probably going to get rid of one of these guys. He's had 5, 13, and 8 on the season against easy matchups, getting 5, 7, and 5 targets in each game. So against the Jets, this is going to be. He's got a lineup against Sauce, who really, he hasn't been great on the season either. He's been just as mid as Jerry Jeudy, but the Jets defense is going to make it tough on Jerry Jeudy, and Jeudy is probably going to not have the best week if I had to guess. So if you have him and you have a better option, I would slide that better option into my starting lineup. Like if you have Michael Pittman, for example. But Jerry Jeudy's got to come out of your lineup.
What happens if you don't have a better option? Or your better option is...
It depends on how much you value Jerry Jeudy, because you value him significantly, but I think he's easier.
Not as much as I'd
that's true, but I was gonna say like people still look at him as like this top tier wide receiver, and
I think he can be that. It doesn't feel like it's gonna happen in
Denver.
At
this point he's not. So get him back with Mac. It's my second Pats reference.
There you go.
Because
I do agree with
you can't lose. If you have to move on from Mac, then you have a wide receiver for your new quarterback.
True. Bulletproof planning.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think Jeudy, another guy who is on my fantasy team, so I hope he does have a good week, but I don't love the matchup at all, and he's been pretty disappointing as well. So my set of the week at wide receiver is Michael Thomas. He's somebody that I think he's in a lot of fantasy lineups. And he's been an okay flex to start the season, giving you 11 and 12 points a week. So he hasn't been great. He's wide receiver 43 because the most he's had is 12 points, but he's been living at that 11, 12-point mark. He's at 11, 12, 11, and then 9 last week. So it's been okay this year. But I think if you have better options in your flex, do it. The Saints offense has been not good. Their passing offense has not been good. People are calling for Derek Carr's head. People are calling for their offense coordinator's head. It just hasn't looked good. There's too much talent on that team, but yet they can't figure it out on offense to start. And they're going up against New England, who did struggle a bit this week versus the Cowboys. But that game was out of hand after, the first quarter or just about. And then the other thing is they are losing Judon and Christian Gonzalez for the season, so their defense is no longer, I don't think, elite, but it's still very good. So they're going up against still a good defense when their offense has been struggling. I don't like the matchup at all. I would sit Michael Thomas.
Yeah, agreed. Not a bad choice. The Patriots secondary, though, did lose a guy. Just a little bit. Yeah, just the defensive rookie of the year, potentially.
Yeah, that's not good.
Maybe he'll shadow J.C. Jackson. Two old men going at it.
That's not a battle that I was hoping to see, but here we are.
Anyway, all right, let's talk about some tight ends. My start at tight end this week is Darren Waller. I don't know why I keep throwing Darren Waller into my starts and just keep getting absolutely burned. But Darren Waller on the season, he's still ranked as a top 4 tight end in fantasy football by the expert consensus on Fantasy Pros. Except Darren Waller right now is tight end 12. He's had 6, 13, 5, and 5.
It's not funny that that's tight end 12.
Yeah. That's brutal. George Kittle is tight end 13, so there's that.
Yuck.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously you hope Darren Waller kind of turns it around. I think it's been bad for Daniel Jones and the Giants. It really has. It's not been a great situation for them. But they are going up against Miami this week, who are, it depends on the week with them defensively. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're not so good. So I would say this is a good start this week. For a defense that has a lot of really good things going on for them on the outside, but can be beat passing wise in the seams. So I would start Darren Waller this week. But if he burns you again, I don't know that I'm going to start him again until he proves to me that he can actually play the game of football properly.
I mean, Miami gave up 50 points to the Bills?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a pretty good matchup. Yeah, mine is Zach Ertz. 10 targets this week. He had 10 targets in week one. Outside of Hollywood Brown, he's probably their second receiving option, and he was someone who I wasn't really high on in the offseason coming off the torn ACL and his age and the situation in Arizona. But he's been pretty good. He had 11 points this week. He had 11 in week two. As I mentioned, 10 targets in week one. He only had 8 points, but that's still for a tight end okay.
Yeah.
Only bad game was against Dallas. And going up against Cincinnati, according to Fantasy Pros, is a pretty good matchup. So got a good matchup. And the way that Arizona's been playing right now, they're not the worst team in the league. And Josh Dobbs is actually a presentable quarterback. So it's not too bad. And if he's going to get 10 targets like that, then it's a pretty good start.
Okay, let's quickly do our sits. I got Evan Ingram at Buffalo. Ingram's been okay at points this year, but he's playing the Buffalo Bills, who actually are pretty good at stopping tight ends on the season. They have given up only 4.6 points per game to the tight end position, so I would sit Evan Ingram if you get an opportunity to this week and find a better option.
Mine's Dalton Schultz. People might have been high on him going into the year. I liked him going into the year and didn't love him. Has been really disappointing, but last week did have 13 points. But he only had 3 targets. He had 3 catches, 3 targets, 42 yards, and a touchdown. That's why he ended up having a good week.
Yeah.
He's touchdown reliant. He's not a volume play.
Yep.
So against the Falcons, who, believe it or not, have actually had an okay defense this year. Jesse Bates is really one of the best safeties in the league, who they signed, A.J. Terrell. They have some pieces there in the secondary. I don't love Dalton Schultz this week.
Okay, agreed. There you have it. Starts and sits. Week 5 starts and sits. Rolling through the NFL season here.
Week 5. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. We got trade targets coming up on the next episode. Be sure to check in on that. Help you team build. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.